And Anne, when you are either, you said you primarily pitch to, or you primarily work with directors, directly with directors. How does the process change when you are pitching to a director for a new project versus when you are pitching to an agency? Are you even still pitching? Does it still feel like that, or does it feel very different?
Well, you're still pitching. Presuming it's a pitch situation. I've had situations where you're not essentially pitching. You just have to make sure you deliver, which is always a nice nice situation because there's kind of that initial trust already there. But it doesn't really change the way you're pitching, I guess. It's just that I feel like you can have a more direct line of communication. There's less kind of, there's less levels in between you and the people who are directly kind of making the decisions. But, pitching's pitching. I don't think that really changes. You're still in advertising, you have so many people who are involved in the decision making, and there's so much going on that even directly dealing with the director, I might not be aware of. It's one of those things I've learned through the years, just never to take it as certain, however positive the feedback might be, and how, even if I've been told yesterday that, everyone loves it, it's fantastic, yes, it's looking awesome, it just isn't in the bag until, I'm asked to invoice. Like it can just go away like that. So it's a fickle thing.
When you are presenting yourself to new collaborators or a new agency, how do you present yourself stylistically? Because for example, the two campaigns that we've mentioned already that have done so well this year, they're dramatically different stylistically. It was beautiful string, solemn, somber versus electronic, dark, gritty, cinematic. So you can clearly do multiple styles. Do you find how you pitch yourself as opposed to the actual pitching process? Do you find that changes according to who you are dealing with?
I think, as a solo composer, someone who works mainly, directly with directors and producers rather than through music production companies or supervisors, I think being versatile to an extent is beneficial. Obviously, I don't pretend to be able to do everything because I would just do a rubbish job at certain genres, and I don't think metal would probably be, I wouldn't be the right person for someone to come to. And so, that's, you'd have to still have your voice. But I think, I've done a lot of kind of piano string stuff, and it's often that what people hear, if they respond to it, then they kind of like to hear more of the same. And I think in terms of the Leica, which is really the first time I've been able to really do something kind of quite in that area. That's it's got acoustic stuff in there too, but it's very electronic and contemporary, and a kind of, it's got distortion and various things that for most projects that I've worked on, just I couldn't even bring it up really. And I love working in that kind of area, and I love combining different things. That's my background really, from classical, but also a lot of sound art and experimental things. So if I'm meeting new people and it's not for a specific project, I tend to, I would do a reel. Like I personally find it the best to prep them a specific work reel, and I would then present probably, what I consider to be my best work, and the kind of work that I feel is most true to me, and the kind of work that I would like to do more of. I wouldn't make it piano strings completely heavy because, I love doing that, but I don't only want to do it, and I'm getting enough of that as it is. So I think, it's it's kind of trying to, I guess, direct your career in the direction you want it to go to. That's what I do anyway. And in terms of the music production companies that I work with, as Hollie was saying before, they come to me with the projects that they feel like fit to me the most. And, they wouldn't come to me for things that they feel like are kind of outside of my comfort zone, because they've got way better people to do those things.
So do you feel that has changed over the years? Because obviously you're in a much more advanced position than when you started. You mentioned about cutting reels. Have you always cut specific reels? Is that sort of just part of your process? You're like, new collaborator or new agency, quick cut a new reel together. And what does that include? What kind of thing would you include on your reel? Is it just, successful pitches? Is it demos? Is it a whole mixture of stuff?
I think if I'm, because if I'm pitching for a job, for example, before it gets confirmed that I'm one of the guys going for it, or girls going for it, I would, most of the time, it's beneficial for me to do a reel that's specifically catered for that stylistically. If it's a light kind of, a bit more comedic spot that they're about to shoot, then I'm not going to send them, the guy going blind, because it's just not, it's not stylistically in the area that they're looking for. So it's useful, because then they can kind of hear that you're able to do that kind of ground. In terms of whether I send them demos or just successful pitches, I would send them both. I always make those really password protected reels, so they're not in the public domain. I don't tend to put too much work that didn't win. And if I do put them somewhere, then I always attempt to make sure that it is specified that it's a demo, because I think if someone else won the gig, it's only fair to kind of that they get the credit. It's tough enough, in this industry to win jobs. It's there's a lot of talent out there. So I then tend to try and make sure that that I just say unwinning pitch, or however I kind of detail it somewhere in the information.
And it's because you've chosen it because you think, even though it didn't win, for as we all know, could be a million different reasons, but it represents your best work for that particular genre. Yeah. And
it showcases how you worked with that particular spot, and how you tried to really enhance what was going on in the picture and the story, and obviously what the client's trying to sell. So I think you're showcasing your work, and I think it's also subjective, isn't it? So it's not, I think we all know that it's not always the most innovative or beautiful thing that wins. It's just it can sometimes be something that's just completely different from what the brief was, even like it can, it's an unpredictable game sometimes.